Welcome, everyone. Today we're diving deep into a topic that really shakes the foundations of traditional beliefs, a question of translation and miracles.
I'm buzzing with excitement. So, we're talking about this idea that one little word might have, flipped everything we thought we knew about the virgin birth?
Exactly. It's like one word, just a single choice in translation, changed a young woman into a virgin, which then fueled a whole doctrine of miraculous beginnings.
That's wild. So, we're starting with Isaiah, right? The prophet's original words used Almah, which basically means a young woman in her prime for childbearing, not necessarily a virgin.
Yep, absolutely. And then, like about 700 years later, when those Hebrew texts got translated into Greek, the translators swapped Alma with Parthenos, and
Right.
Parthenos usually means virgin, though not always.
So, in a twist of fate, that translation paved the way for the narrative we now know from the Gospel of Matthew that Mary was a virgin.
Exactly. And it's fascinating because if we pull back the curtain, that tiny linguistic change literally made Mary into a symbol of purity and set up the entire notion of divine conception.
Right. And that brings up a big question. If Mary was just a young woman, how do we then view the whole divine nature of Jesus? Does that undermine the miracle entirely?
Yeah, it starts to unravel the whole structure, doesn't it? Imagine building a house on a foundation that's shaky. If the virgin birth was a misinterpretation from an early translation error, then the claim of Jesus' divine origin gets, seriously complicated.
It's like a cascade. If this core miracle is in question, then a lot of other doctrines might be questioned as well, no?
Definitely.
Yeah.
And scholars like Bart, Ehrman, and Raymond have pointed out that the original meaning of the prophecy in Isaiah was not about a miraculous virgin birth at all, but rather a sign intended for King Ahaz.
So, in a sense, Matthew effectively reinterpreted this sign from an 8th century BCE context into a prophecy about the Messiah, transforming it into a critical pillar of early Christian identity.
Exactly, and it's like they took a literary tool, a translation twist, and turned it into the linchpin of Christian orthodoxy. It's fascinating how history and language interact, right?
For sure. But, I do wonder, could it be that early Christians were intentionally drawing on existing narratives? I mean, plenty of ancient myths involved gods born of virgins, like Dionysus and Mithras.
Absolutely, and that's one of the most intriguing parts.
Indeed.
It appears that Christianity might have adapted elements from earlier mythologies to create a story with similar mystical appeal, making Jesus appear more divine and aligning with familiar motifs of miraculous origins.
It's almost as if they were competing for attention among a pantheon of exotic birth stories.
Right. And it's worth noting that none of the earliest Christian texts, like, say, Paul's letters or even the Gospel of Mark, mention the virgin birth. It's only in the later texts, such as Matthew and Luke, that we even see these structured nativity narratives.
That's a great point. And that discrepancy raises some critical flags about how the story evolved over time to serve specific theological purposes.
Exactly. It's like a layering of, well, idealism on top of history. The earlier accounts, which are more grounded, don't even touch on the miraculous birth. Then, later on, as the Church was solidifying its doctrines, this idea becomes central to what it means to claim the divine.
But here's where I get a bit skeptical. Could it be that the introduction of the virgin birth was a necessary mythos to differentiate the Christian narrative from other mythologies that already boasted virgin births?
That's a fair challenge. I mean, in an ancient world brimming with mythic births, having Mary as a virgin could have been a strategic move, a kind of branding, if you will, to underscore uniqueness. It simultaneously elevates the narrative and aligns it with broader cultural symbols of purity and divine intervention.
And that in turn helps cement Jesus' status as not just a teacher or prophet, but something utterly transcendent.
Exactly. And here's where it gets even more intriguing. If this cornerstone is based on a translation that wasn't in the original texts, it makes you wonder, what other parts of the tradition might be similarly reinterpreted over time?
It opens up a whole can of philosophical and historical worms, doesn't it? Like, if a mistranslation could lead to this, what else?
Definitely. It's a humbling reminder of how much nuance language has, and how seemingly minor shifts can have massive repercussions in shaping belief systems.
It definitely is. And, I think this conversation really forces us to grapple with the fluidity of history versus the rigidity of doctrine.
Right, and it's almost like a hidden puzzle. Each piece of history might actually have more layers than we assume. There's a kind of beauty in questioning these foundational narratives.
True, really. It's, not about debunking, but rather about understanding how these stories, these beliefs, came to be constructed.
Exactly. It's more about tracing the evolution. And when you look at those changes, like a single word flip that morphs a prophecy about a young woman into one of divine conception, it's almost, like magic in the world of language and interpretation.
But magic aside, it also shows, respectfully, just how subjective our interpretations can be over time, don't you think?
Absolutely, yeah. I mean, this isn't a dismissal of faith or spiritual belief. It's just an exploration of how intricately intertwined our language and our belief systems really are.
And it makes you wonder about the power dynamics, too. I mean, these translations and reinterpretations weren't done in a vacuum. They were influenced by the cultural, political, and religious shifts of their times.
Right on. People back then were very much in the business of solidifying communal identity and establishing orthodoxy. The transformation of the word from Almah to Parthenos was part of that broader strategy to create a narrative that was both awe-inspiring and unassailable.
And it shows that these narratives, though they seem fixed and eternal, are really human constructs, subject to evolution and reinterpretation.
Exactly. And it's a testament to the malleability of tradition. One small linguistic twist, and centuries of theology pivot on that hinge.
It really puts things in perspective. Like, even our most sacred texts have been molded over time, reflecting the context of their creation.
Exactly, and that makes one wonder if one miracle like the virgin birth can be reinterpreted, then what does that say about the other miracles and signs we hold on to?
Yeah. It asks us to be more, curious and critical about the origins of these stories. I mean, isn't it amazing how a tiny change, just one word, can, reshape entire belief systems?
Right, it's like a ripple in a pond. The initial translation winds up creating waves that go out through history, impacting millions over centuries.
And that's why these discussions are so crucial. They remind us that history, language, and belief are all, profoundly connected, and none exist in isolation.
Precisely. It's a reminder that we should always be, critically engaged with our traditions, and open to questioning even the most revered narratives.
Absolutely. And it certainly keeps the conversation alive, pushing us to, learn more and think deeper about the roots of what we believe.
And on that note, it's been such an eye-opening journey today, exploring how one small translation detail can turn a simple prophecy into one of the most debated miracles in religious history.
For sure, it's been a fascinating ride. Thanks for the deep dive.
Thanks for joining in on this exploration, everyone. Until next time, keep questioning and stay curious.